Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughn, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. Hi there. All right. I have as my guest today, Tammy Braswell. Now, Tammy is a divine messenger, voice channel of all that is, other lifetime interpreter, energetic creation guide and teacher through higher frequencies and truths, and an international best-selling author. Wow. Well, welcome, Tammy. I am so excited to have you on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited also just to discover more about you, the magnificence that you carry forward, and the difference that you're making. So, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this based on your expertise. But what I've discovered as a business coach is that every professional heart-centered coach and energy worker, healer, they go on their own journey, a journey that includes both business development and personal development within the vision or mission of truly making a meaningful difference for others. And for me, I ultimately believe that the ripple effects that result in making that positive impact are felt globally. So that's my vision. But that journey from passion to profits is not easy, nor is it the same for everyone. So as it relates to you, curiously, how long have you been a professional energy worker? And just give us a little indication of what that moment was, or what prompted you to pursue this work as a profession.
Well, I've probably been doing it for 15 plus years,
Okay.
but being tuned in since I was a little kid. So I used to just naturally help people with seeing things from a higher perspective because we're generally taught to focus on what we don't want, not what we do want.
Yep.
And so we keep getting the same thing going, why do I keep getting this? And so I started to notice with friends and growing up, and especially as I got in my teens and my 20s, it just made sense when they would tell me about things. I'd be like, well, have you thought of looking at it this way? And they're like, oh, well, I didn't think about that. And then they'd start to, and then they'd make different decisions and change areas of their life. And I was like, cool, that's great. And I just was never fulfilled in any of the positions I had. I had mostly administrative assistant type positions, and my employers loved me. And when I even wanted to leave, they created different positions for me just to stay. And I'm like, I feel like I've done everything I can do here. So I wasn't finding that fulfillment,
Yeah.
but I had fun with my natural abilities. So I started my own cleaning business because I was a single mom and it made it easier for me to have a schedule I wanted. And then I just started playing around with some of the healing modalities, and it started to feel more like this is it. This is what I want to do. This is
Mm-hmm.
this is the expression of the divine part of me, of my soul, and that's why I'm here. So
Right.
I started playing around with it, and it just kept expanding as I did it. I brought
More
in more
clarity
information
and
for
yeah,
clients, and it was like,
interesting.
I believe we are led, our soul is always kind of going, this is what you're ready to do. Do you want to do it yet?
Yet, I like that operative word, yet. Are you ready yet?
Yeah, because as humans, we get to decide and nothing decides for us. And that's
Mhm.
part of the what our soul wants us to do is to play around in this human experience and make our choices based on what we understand. And so
Yeah.
when we start to understand things differently, we make different choices.
Yeah, I love that phrase you just used, play around in our human experience. It takes the attachment out of it, and it's like the circumstances, right? It just feels empowering just to hear you say that.
Well, life is a playground. That's what I mean. Think of when you're a little kid and you go out on the playground, there's all this equipment and there's all these toys and or whatever, balls and all sorts of that. And you like get to choose what you want to do that day. And if somebody's on the thing you want to use, then you wait till they get off and you go do something else. And
Right.
it's, life is really was meant to be playful, but that conditioning we have starts to make it heavy. And then you forget how playful you want to be. Because when we're little kids, we can be superheroes. We can be anything we want. We're invincible. We're going to
Hmm.
go to the moon. We're going to do all these things. And, you get
Yeah,
older,
and
like,
it's okay to live in that imagination, and act it out and have fun. But my experience anyway, is as we grow up, then, if you live in the imagination, then you're a daydreamer, or you're zoned out, or those kinds of negative
but,
implications.
but let's look at this. You and I wouldn't be talking like this right now if somebody didn't have imagination.
Yeah.
We wouldn't see the movies we see if somebody didn't have imagination and
Everything.
play into it. Everything that we have that's so cool to play with came from imagination.
Yeah, it is powerful. It is powerful to just honor that is a powerful creator within each of us that is available, right? On demand. So when you started out, and I think I spoke over you just as you were saying this, you made that leap from, a traditional job, as you discovered more modalities and really resonated with, this is a power that I have, and you didn't quite say it, it's valuable to others. You just said you started getting some clients. So did you have like a clear strategy to build a business, or was it more like, I think you also said, doorways were opening?
Yeah, it's more magical for me. Is yeah, I think even just as tuned in as I am, some of the business part gets a little clunky to me because of it's so technical, and it's real easy for me just to be up here in the playground of all the information that we can tap into.
Mhm.
So it's been the years of courses and programs so I can understand what I'm doing better. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So some traditional, educational, business development strategy, it
Definitely.
sounds like, but mostly leaning into your own intuition and approach to
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah.
Let's make this
Like,
fun.
go
Let's
do
keep,
this. Okay, I'll go. I trust. I'll go do this. If
yeah.
you're telling me that, then there's something to it. It aligns with something else I desire. Because as humans, we are limited on what we can see or know. And when we turn it over to the bigger consciousness, whatever you want to call that, source, it will let us know. I mean, I get downloads, if you will, or information for I fixed my toilet handle that nobody could figure out. And the guy at the hardware store was like, "How'd you come up with that?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, that happens to me all the time too. Yeah, my husband
I know
thinks
somebody.
like, oh, you're just mechanically inclined. And I'm like, well, no, I just get calm and I ask questions and I get the answers. So it
That's how,
works most of the time.
Thomas Edison did the light bulb. He used to sit and just allow himself to tune into something beyond what he could figure out on his own. So sure, it answers everything
That's
down
a
to the
great
bulb is
reminder. Yeah, this is such a great reminder. I love this. So, as I mentioned when I introduced you, Tammy, your list of expertise is quite long. It's quite impressive. Divine messenger, voice channel of all that is, other lifetime interpreter, energetic creation guide and teacher through higher frequencies and truths. I mean, each one of these, and then of course, international best-selling author. Hello, I think that's it behind you, right in your shelf.
Yep.
Yeah.
The 2 books, yeah.
So, I mean, each one of these, I feel we could spend our whole conversation just diving into. But if you could, start out with just telling me more about who you serve, right? And why people engage you for your assistance. And I know each one of those is probably a different answer. So
Actually, it does all come back to one thing, or kind of a common thread is it's conscious, self-led, visionary women who know that there's something more for their life, that they want to tune into themselves more deeply. There's always more levels and layers. I get surprised at new ones that I find in myself. And then they can really live and create the life that they desire and that they choose, rather than, from my age group, as the women that I work with mostly in their 40s, 50s, up to around 60. And we were conditioned to live a life that we should live. And now it's time to choose one that we again choose to live, rather
mm-hmm.
than the one that everybody said, this is the life for
Right,
you. You're like,
right.
there's more to me than that life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those women that are just it's probably not the right word, but waking up, right? Waking up to their own potential, waking up to what's available, what's
Well,
possible.
actually, the women I like to work with at this point are already awakened. So they actually have done a bit of inner healing and growth before they come to me, because my work is higher. And so
At
it's
higher,
easier than explaining it and getting someone on board to what
getting the
it is.
buy-in, right?
It's like they already have to have gone through some of their own processes before they get here, and then it just makes it easier. We amplify where they are, and we expand it at a higher rate than where they were before. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, for most business people, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners, it takes that courage, that tenacity, and even a certain agility to turn skills, knowledge, and wisdom into a professional service as well as a business. But what I'm hearing from you is almost like you broke the mold. There's it's just playing, it's following, it's receiving, and it's acting upon. And you know I just sense this whole different kind of pathway. But I'm curious, what inspires you to keep doing this work at a professional level?
I truly believe it's the my highest self-expression here. My purpose for being here is to help women on their journey, and then have that. And when I help the women, it ripples out to everybody around them. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
that's why I'm here. So there are days that I think, oh, is it somebody not getting it, or something like that? And then I get another inspired download of intuition, divine messages, and it's like,
mm-hmm.
that's why that's the excitement. And that's what lights me up to say, I want to share this. I want to share this now. Remembrance is what it is, because we all have it within us already. It's just remembering. False
Mm-hmm.
information we've had our entire life has
Mm-hmm.
clouded it. And then when you, like you said, awaken, but there's next level awakening too. Is
Yeah.
when I have a new epiphany, or something comes in, I'm like, wow, I didn't see it like that. Now I get to
Mm-hmm.
share that new perspective with others.
Yeah, I love that.
Exciting.
It's always such a rush. It's like, oh,
It's exciting. It's like
yeah.
I want to run out like a little kid and go, "Hey, everybody, let me tell
Yeah, when I'm working with clients, I have like maybe one hundredth of the abilities that you do tapped into. I'm not going to say that I have limited, but that I've tapped into. And so I'll feel that intuitive sense of, because a lot of coaches and energy workers, they have a struggle with words to describe the work they do in a way that others get them, or creating, packaging the offers, right? What are you offering me so that I can hire you? And there has to be this communication that is understood, spoken and understood. And I feel this almost down, or channeling is more of the word I think that applies, as I can channel the other person's beingness and vision for themselves, and like translate it into words. And that's always such a, in fact, there were several clients I was working with at one time where I would just wake up in the middle of the night with a new phrase. It's like, oh, this is crystal clear. It's like, I need to sleep. Okay, I love it, but I need to sleep, you know. So I just can't even imagine what it must be like to, you know, I guess I should ask you, what is it like to sense, feel, and witness what most of us are not tuned into on that higher level?
Well, since I've been doing it since I was a little kid, it's very, very normal to me. It and natural. I couldn't imagine life without it. When I meet people who have the more limited space of it, I think how much I feel like they're missing out on. But we're all tuned in. It's part of our makeup to navigate this human existence, but we just nurture it. And I've been doing that since I was a little kid, even silently to myself. Like I didn't tell people things I experienced because I recognized that it wasn't something to be talked about. Other people weren't getting it. And I would have just thought they would have thought I was either crazy or,
Hmm.
something was going on. I
Wow.
had a very vivid imagination or something. And so, it's part of all of us, but I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't imagine life not being. And every time, every experience is something different. So I can't even say every time will be like this. It's a spirits or energy or just different sensations that I pay attention to and then go, I've kind of felt that before, but I
Hmm.
haven't felt it to that level now. And yeah, it's just if there wasn't anything, I'd feel really dead inside because it's like I love it's like makes life an adventure that
Yeah. It's
it makes it fun.
really dynamic. Ha, yeah, that's
It's
amazing.
like,
I love that.
let's see
Yeah.
what happens. Because, I think about we wake up in the morning and we'll go, well, I have this, this, and this to do today, but anything can happen and change what your plans were that day. It can be something that excites you and something that upsets you, but
Hmm.
it's just, yeah. So you wake up in the morning and go, this is my plan, but let me see what magical stuff you can have happen.
Yeah, yeah, and that story we attach to what maybe gets in the way of our plan dictates our experience, right? It's the story that we attach to it. And so having already that perspective of, well, let's just see what unfolds.
Mhm.
That already sets you up to be in that creative plane of just receiving and like you said, keeping it dynamic. And it's like, wow, well, that's cool. And
Life would
all
be very
within
boring if
all
none of that
within
happened.
yeah, all within though a way that, like you said, it really brings
Mhm.
that clarity to supporting others
Mhm.
in the meaningful work they're doing, which I would love to just hear maybe a real life experience of somebody that you've worked with, that's experienced the transformation or the outcome of having received your guidance. So can you share maybe a story of somebody that you've recently worked with?
I actually have a long-term client that we've worked together in many different forms, and she always tells me that she utilizes my processes, energetic processes, and activations and exercises above anyone else's because she just loves them so much, and she uses them all the time. And
What does she do in her profession or her life?
it's a normal business kind of thing with her
Mhm.
with her spouse.
Yeah.
but she's very much into the higher level, she wanting to understand herself and to consciously create her life. That's a big part of this is choosing what kind of life do you want to live.
Right.
And so her relationships, she tells me all the time how they've improved and things that were maybe friction in a relationship with a child. Next thing you know, she'll do a process or we'll be working together and she'll just say that everything flowed so much easier and like
Mm,
none of the friction was there or just she loves telling me about all the wonderful things that just show up in her life because she
sure.
opens herself to that. She the resistance of allowing things into her life isn't there because of the way that she looks at her life now. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I
this has
help
to
you do
be,
is see it different.
that's a whole game changer. That is a whole new life. That is like a new, stepping into a new reality. I love that. It has
And
to
you
just
keep
feel,
doing it.
yeah,
You get to one and then it's like, okay, I want to expand and experience more. And then you do it again. And that's why she's stayed with in my world and working together because she's like, she just finds that that's what happens for her. So,
life
when
keeps
you
getting
find
better.
something that works,
Yeah.
why not keep working it, right?
Yeah, it's not like she's not getting it. She's getting it and wants more of, the full consciousness, the full abilities to be in that playful
We just
state.
even just found something else in her energy, because that's obviously the work I do, that was there that was creating a resistant place of her stepping into more of what she wants. So we uncovered what that was and she tuned into it. Now the weight, she did not a weight about it, but just a weight that she had been feeling was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing what shows up energetically that then it releases you in other ways. It's like, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know that. We don't know it's there until it's gone. Then we're like, wow, I feel so much lighter.
Yeah, right. Ah, that's great. That is great. Well, thank you for sharing that. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that, helping people one by one, right, to achieve new levels of their own happiness and joy and peace and even financial success creates that ripple effect that is truly infinite in my opinion. And one of my mentors early in my business journey was Mark Victor Hansen. I was in, he's a co-author for Chicken
Mhm.
Soup for the Soul. I
Okay.
was in a 3% club that he and Bob Proctor um, ran, I guess is the right word. And just being in his orb, being in his energy was always just like, I just felt myself sit up more. And, just, it's just this, you could really, same as with you, this energy is contagious, the whole different way of just seeing life, seeing the world. And one of the things that he taught me that made a big impact was that he said, Wendy, you need to have a big, hairy, audacious goal. Something that really fuels your passion, that helps you to just get over yourself. Just you know, something bigger, something that really you can sink your teeth into. And so currently, I've had various what he calls BHAGs, right? Big, hairy, audacious goals. So currently, as a business coach, it's to empower 1,000 coaches and healers to build thriving businesses so that they can make their biggest impact and, of course, have a lifestyle that they love and create that ripple effect that I feel really impacts the whole world, because I believe that the work that people like you do, it really does resonate out. So, putting you on the spot here, do you have a big audacious goal, the one that just has you sitting up straighter and thinking of, the kind of, gets that tickle in your tummy going as far as the impact or some other big project or vision or I don't know, anything? Do you have that percolating?
Well, I'm always open to the next highest version that I'm becoming and that I can step into because I feel like we're always growing. And so I love who I am now, but let's see who I become tomorrow. And by holding that for myself, I invite others to be able to see it for themselves and to hold a higher frequency, like you said, when you step into Mark Victor Hansen's energy, you just feel like it's
Yeah.
expansive. So I want to
Yeah.
hold that expansive place for everybody who steps into my world, whether it's working one-on-one with me or in smaller spaces or even just passing by something I share. I feel like it radiates out, like you said, into them having a new realization or a new perspective or just feeling an uplift, in themselves. I like to just send energy out and love into the world and everyone on it. And I always imagine that this little spark of high frequency divine love touches their heart and they can receive it if they want to and remember that they can feel more love for themselves and for for everything
Yeah.
by having that just touch them.
Right. Yeah, that is so powerful. And it does, so if that's a mom, all of a sudden with her kids, she's different. And then that results in the kids showing up differently to their siblings or, friends at school. And then the teacher has a different experience. And then that person, it just, you can just see it. So yeah, I love that. Well, Tammy, this has just been such a great conversation. I'm this is better than a Starbucks coffee. I'm excited. I'm like jazzed. So, what's the best way for people to, learn more about what it's like to work with you? Maybe that best next step to understand if your approach is the answer to their quest for renewal and just that new sense of vitality, new sense of excitement about life.
Being more energized like the little bunny.
Mhm.
Uh, uh,
But not like a robot, you
no,
know,
no, no, just like the boost,
the boost. Yeah,
and
the
a little
creativity, the
rocket
play.
boost. Yeah.
Mhm.
No drum included.
Yeah.
Um, it's via my website. It's probably where you're always going to find me with everything else that changes out in the world, and it's createbyvibration.com.
Okay.
It's been that way for like probably going on 20, almost like 18, 20 years of that place. So you'll always find me there and
Okay.
get a feel for the energy, for ways of looking at things. And if you feel like stepping in, then you step in, you lean in, and if it resonates.
Perfect. All right. So look in the show notes, listeners, because you'll find the link to her website, createbyvibration.com. And again, Tammy, just thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you.
being a guest on my show today. This has really been a wonderful conversation. It's certainly broadened my view and just recognize that the gifts that you're bringing to the world are really, I'm so glad that at that phase of your life when you were a little girl and you knew that you had these abilities, you didn't just squash them, right? You still nurtured, as you said, and you honored that side of you and continued on this path where now you're serving others, and it's really your sole purpose. So I love that. So thank you again. Truly appreciate you and the work you're doing. All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So, if you're a heart centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So, check out the show notes. All right, well, this is Wendy Vaughn signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.